Hi, this is Mike Hendrickson from OSCON 2015 in Portland, here with Matthew Hodgson. Matthew, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, thanks.
So you're with Matrix.org.
Correct.
And can you talk a little bit about what you guys do?
Sure. So Matrix.org is a non-profit open source initiative which is focused on solving the problem of fragmentation in real-time communication today. So the problem we see is that, especially in instant messaging and voice over IP and video calling, there are all of these different apps which effectively do the same thing. And the context is that the companies building them seem to focus a lot more on building a community within that app rather than interoperating within any of the apps. And this is a huge step backwards from the internet, which was always built to be a collaborative environment where everybody would interoperate, and that's the very definition of the thing. But for whatever reason, we're getting more and more fragmented until a typical person, I'm sure you have, 10, 20 messaging apps on your phone.
At least 3 or 4, yeah.
Okay,
yeah, that I use,
that's still pretty bad in terms of all of your conversations being spread between them. I mean, some people are lucky and they have all of their friends on Facebook or all of their conversations in WhatsApp, but in reality, anybody who's more than a casual user now has all of these different conversations fragmented all over the place, and it's getting to be a huge problem.
And so how are you guys going to solve that? So are you a communication platform that they all plug into, or how are you going to solve this problem?
So we're a communication standard more than a platform. So what we've done is to provide a very simple, pragmatic, HTTP-based API, which defines that if I want to send to you a message, then I will go and talk to a Matrix-compatible service, which will talk to another Matrix server, and then you'll be able to get it down to a Matrix-compatible application. So that would be the classic way of communicating via Matrix, except in the actual real world, we obviously have existing silos out there. You've got the Skypes and Facebooks and Hangouts and everybody else. IRC, indeed too. And so the point of Matrix, and the reason it's called Matrix, is to provide a standard that matrixes these islands together. So, in fact, good that you mentioned IRC, because our first bridge that we built for Matrix is a IRC to Matrix bridge. So you can access any of Freenode, and huge thanks to the guys at Freenode for allowing us to do this, via Matrix. Now, the fun thing is that Matrix is completely decentralized, so there is no single chat server where your messages or conversations are being stored. Instead, all of...
Which is good, better security as well, right?
Better security, especially with end-to-end encryption, which we're introducing right now. But we also have these bridges which go and connect the existing silos into this decentralized network. So basically no single vendor, no single company ends up owning or having control over those conversations. You as an end user get to pick which service you're going to be using for your instant messaging or voice or indeed Internet of Things data.
And does it work with VoIP as well? Or
yep.
It does. Okay, so what kind of companies are starting to work with you on this? I'm curious who's going to get behind this and move forward.
So we're actually being paid to work on this by my day job, which is with a company called Amdocs, which is a big telecom solutions provider. So I guess our initial focus has been on the telecoms industry, and there are people like Ericsson who have gone and are experimenting with building on top of it currently. Employees of companies like Metaswitch and Truephone and SIPgate and other sort of VoIP and SIP focused people have taken a lot of interest in it. But on the flip side, you also have IoT vendors experimenting with it, because the fragmentation problem, if we think it's bad for messaging apps, you look at IoT where every vendor has its own silo, or indeed on WebRTC where each web app has its own different community within it which can talk to itself. But if you want one WebRTC enabled website to talk to another one, at the moment it's pretty much a disaster.
So this is a standard, and so you can expand that standard to cover IoT and to cover communications between machines as well down the road?
Yeah, in the end it's just a decentralized object database. So what I do is to put JSON objects into it, and that JSON could be anything. It could be a VoIP setup. We've done MIDI for digital music over Matrix. Yeah. We did car telemetry, because all cars have a ODB2 port for standard sort of telemetry, engine pressure, engine temperature, all that sort of thing, putting it into Matrix. So in the end it's just a big interoperable data fabric for the net.
Excellent. So where do you see yourself and Matrix being 12 months from now? If you fast forward and we have this discussion next year, how many new partners and how much new traction are you going to have in that 12 months?
Well, for context, at the moment we're just over 12 months in. So we got
12 months in.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got funded back in May of last year, and we launched our very early alpha in September, and then went into beta in December. So we're about 6 months into beta. We should be coming to 1.0 right about now. It's getting there.
Close.
It's close, and we were hoping for OSCON perhaps we would flip it over, but instead, no, it's coming together and looking good. Right now we've got about 16 companies who have committed to building solutions on top of it, which is better than our expectations. There's a lot of traction there, especially on the telco side, as I said. 12 months from now, well, let me think. Again, for context, we've got about 10,000 users in the ecosystem today, about 150 servers, so it's not as big as the web, it's a little bit smaller, but 12 months from now it would be great to really see that take off and go more viral, and we're hoping that as we've just released a new client, a web client SDK that makes it possible to write really, really good snappy web clients. The server is the bottleneck, unashamedly, right now, and we're going to be rewriting that over the next year from the initial proof of concept, which is a Python and twisted beast, into another language, and have it a lot more scalable. And so hopefully that's going to be the trigger for an explosion.
It's so explosion, but are you also thinking internationally and worldwide? So, servers in different
continents? Servers are already being run by all sorts of different people. I mean, we've got at least 25 different countries in there. And, well, just as the web is more than 150 servers today, I'm hoping they will be orders of magnitude larger than where we are at right now.
So out of curiosity, Matrix, the name.
I guess it's a cool name. It's I hear there's a film which it doesn't really allude to, but it's in the end it describes what we do. We matrix together silos. You have all of these different islands that can't talk to one another. And it could be IoT, it could be VoIP, it could be instant messaging, and Matrix is just a way to allow them to communicate together, to build them into one meta structure, a matrix.
Excellent. Well, Matthew, we certainly hope you succeed and look forward to watching this in the future.
Thank you very much. Good to meet you.